This sect was the foremost sect of the Southern Plains, its fame resounding far and wide. Not only did its name shake the Southern Plains, but even within the entire Immortal clan, it was counted among the greatest. All of this was because within this sect, there appeared a figure known as Dao Yi, a grand heavenly venerable. Behind the mountain, beneath a waterfall, water crashed down in torrents. Beneath it lay a deep pool, and by its side sat a young man in a Taoist robe. Calm and composed, he held a willow branch in his hand, its tip dangling into the pool as though he were fishing with closed eyes. At the very moment Wang Lin broke through the 8th layer within the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds, that robed youth suddenly opened his eyes. Lifting his head toward the blue sky and drifting clouds, his gaze remained tranquil. He broke through the 8th layer. The youth's lips curved into a smile. With a flick of the willow branch upon the water's surface, ripples spread outward, and within those circles, scenes from the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds shimmered into view. In the northern plains, endless ice sealed the land for thousands of miles. Snow and blizzards swirled year-round, and the whistling wind carried with it the wails of ghosts, unsettling the hearts of cultivators visiting the northern plains for the first time. At the northernmost edge of this land rose jagged mountains, vast glaciers that had endured tens of thousands of years without melting. They jutted upward like unsheathed swords piercing the heavens, irregular yet imposing. From afar, when the sunlight struck their frozen bodies, dazzling rays burst forth, radiating an aura of piercing cold. This was the dwelling of the great heavenly venerable Wufeng of the northern plains. Beneath one such glacier, a towering bald man sat cross-legged. Before him, the sunlight refracted through the glacier, scattering light while also projecting illusory scenes, the unfolding battles within the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. The giant bald cultivator's expression was calm, but as he gazed at the figure storming toward the 9th hall within the illusion, a faint brilliance slowly gathered in his eyes. Whenever a cultivator passed the 8th layer of the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds, the grand heavenly venerables would immediately be aware. At this moment, beyond Dao Yi and Wufeng, in the distant central plains upon Mount Dishan, autumn leaves of fiery red drifted down. A stunningly beautiful woman stood, staring in a daze at a leaf suspended before her. Within its veins, another world seemed to unfold, reflecting scenes from the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Beside her sat an old man, cross-legged, looking utterly lethargic, his manner one of disinterest. Even when his gaze swept across the leaf's vision, there was no spark of energy, as though the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds could not stir his curiosity. Master, if he manages to break through the 9th layer, will you seek to recruit him? The beautiful woman's voice was soft as she continued to gaze at the leaf. The old man slowly opened his drowsy eyes, casting a glance toward the leaf. If this teacher were to recruit every cultivator who breaks through the 9th layer, would not Mount Dishan become unbearably noisy? The 9th layer matters to Dao Yi and Wufeng only because they became grand heavenly venerables later, eager to expand their power and groom a potential 6th grand heavenly venerable, while also preparing guardians for their future reincarnations. But to me, breaking through the 9th layer is no different from an ant slightly larger than the rest. Unless he can do as the Nether Dao Venerable did and pierce through the 15th layer, only such a figure would be worth my attention. The old man's words came slow and measured. The stunning woman fell silent, biting her lower lip, her eyes fixed on the autumn leaf without another word. Meanwhile, also in the central plains, within the luxurious halls of the central imperial city, a magnificent palace stood empty of people. Yet above its vast chamber hung a watery screen, clearly displaying Wang Lin's trial within the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Far away in the eastern continent, within the foremost of the 9 sects and 13 schools, the Violet Sun sect. Inside the forbidden grounds, in a stone chamber, a middle-aged man in a purple robe stared intently at a massive mirror before him. Within it, the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds were reflected. However, the entire scene shimmered with golden radiance, obscuring details and leaving only a vague silhouette visible. Beside this purple-robed man sat 2 little girls, one dressed in red, the other in purple. Both appeared around 7 or 8 years old, delicate as carved jade, lips crimson, teeth pearly, eyes sparkling with life, utterly adorable. The girl in red propped her chin with one hand, yawning as she gazed at the mirror. Yet in truth, her mind was on playing outside. From time to time, her bright eyes darted toward the purple-robed girl beside her. The two exchanged a blink, then pursed their lips mischievously. At the side of the girl in purple crouched a cultivator with the look of Kowa Xiaolang, his expression miserable. A chain hung around his neck, his face showing signs of long pent-up frustration and gloom, his whole body slumped in despair. Xiaolang, what kind of face is that? Be good now, Xiaolang, don't be disobedient. The purple-robed little girl glanced at the wretched cultivator, raised her hand, and patted his head several times in quick succession. With each pat, the man lowered his head further, tears threatening to spill from his eyes. Two little ancestors, don't just think about playing all the time. Sigh, look at this man. I've investigated him. He's also from the Eastern continent. Now he has broken through the 8th layer of the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Whether or not he can pass the 9th layer, he's someone worth recruiting. The middle-aged man spoke softly, his face full of bitterness, to the two little girls beside him. Oh, just handle it yourself. Henin, you should properly teach this disobedient little wolf a lesson. Why don't we throw him into the Nining pool? Last time he disobeyed, and after staying inside for a few days he finally behaved. He even found a fun little bell in there. The girl in red smiled, completely ignoring the middle-aged man. She walked up to the cultivator who looked like a pitiful child, and, together with the girl in purple, began smacking his head hard. The middle-aged man stared blankly at the scene, let out a bitter smile, then took a deep breath. Rising to his feet, he bowed solemnly to the two playful girls. Twin grand heavenly venerables. The two little girls continued smacking the head of the one called Little Wolf until tears finally welled up in his eyes. Wawa, he's crying. He's faking it. This little wolf is disobedient. He must be pretending. Twin grand heavenly venerables. The middle-aged cultivator nearly lost his mind, roaring at the two girls. His voice boomed like thunder, shaking heaven and earth, finally making the girls turn their heads to look at him. Little solitary Cliff, are you being disobedient too? The girl called Wawa frowned, casting him a glance. Twin grand heavenly venerables, this man must be recruited. The middle-aged cultivator ignored their words, inhaled deeply, and spoke with utmost gravity. Then recruit him. Go on, bring him back so we can meet him. The girl called Henin waved her hand, grabbed the pitiful little wolf, and with the other girl beside her, disappeared from the stone chamber in a flash. The middle-aged cultivator was left behind, clutching his hair with both hands, laughing bitterly to himself. Within the 8th layer of the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds, golden light flickered. Under the gaze of hundreds of heavenly venerable cultivators, Wang Lin drew in a deep breath and charged toward the 9th layer. Soon, he reached the mist-shrouded gate of the 9th layer. After a brief pause, he stepped inside without hesitation. The instant he entered, every cultivator below, including the Bamboo Grove Heavenly Venerable, held their breath and fixed their eyes on the 9th layer. The 7th layer contained 63 cultivation stars, but the 8th had 81. The 9th layer is said to represent the peak celestial venerable. If one breaks through it, there could very well be 99 cultivation stars. Inside, Wang Lin appeared within a boundless void of stars. His expression remained calm as he gazed forward. Suddenly, 99 stars shifted course, roaring straight toward him. Among them, 9 shone with blinding golden radiance. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Without hesitation, he summoned not only his 5 elements avatar and thunder avatar, but also released 3 strands of his void origin. In this way, his true form, avatars, and origin combined, merging with the 23 divine arts already within his body, equivalent to 92 divine arts at once. This was Wang Lin's limit before donning the soul armor. With a single punch or a single finger strike, he already stood infinitely close to the pinnacle of the heavenly venerable level. Raising his right hand, golden light glimmered in his eyes. With a sharp sting running through his arm, the bone-beam blade manifested in his grip. With the simplest of motions, he slashed toward the incoming 99 stars. 92 blade shadows appeared, instantly merging into one, cleaving across the void of the starry sky. A thunderous roar echoed as 92 of the stars exploded at once. Before they fully shattered, Wang Lin's body overlapped with his avatars, his 5 elements avatars splitting into water, fire, and earth origins, surging toward 3 of the remaining stars. At the same time, his thunder avatar let out a deep growl, erupting into a storm of lightning that swallowed the other 4 golden stars, annihilating them in an instant. Though the 99 stars shattered at slightly different times, Wang Lin exerted all his strength to minimize the gap. From afar, they appeared to detonate almost simultaneously. At the moment of their destruction, a surge of golden light erupted, sweeping outward like a tidal wave of radiant gold. In the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds, before the eyes of all, the 9th hall, which had lain dormant for countless years, suddenly blazed forth with an unbelievable golden brilliance, leaving the gathered cultivators in awe. He's past the 9th layer. From this day forth, the name Wang Lin will shake all 5 provinces. The 9th layer, the 9th layer. To pass it is to reach the peak celestial venerable. One step beyond, and he may become a transcendent heavenly venerable. Could it be that today, I will witness the birth of the 49th transcendent heavenly venerable of the immortal clan? At this very moment, surely every grand heavenly venerable is focused intently here. The cultivators below gasped in unison. The bamboo grove heavenly venerable lowered his head bitterly. Congratulations to fellow Taoist Wang Lin for breaking through the 9th layer. No one knew who spoke first, but soon every cultivator present bowed deeply toward the sky. In the northern glaciers, great heavenly venerable Wufeng stood before the endless ice. He closed his eyes. This child endured the trial of the mountains and seas, and now he has broken through the 9th layer. His battle power is already close to that of a transcendent heavenly venerable. Dao Yi values him first, so Dao Yi will surely attempt to seize him. Yet Dao Yi's nature carries solitary pride. He will not send his divine sense, at most only a single avatar. This time, I shall go myself. Only then can it be seen who truly values this child more. On Dishan, a stunningly beautiful woman smiled with joy. Seeing Wang Lin clear the 9th layer, she seemed even happier than he was. But the elder beside her merely glanced at Autumn Leaf, his expression indifferent. The 9th layer only. Nothing more than the peak celestial venerable. To step into the 10th layer is to become a transcendent heavenly venerable. But even if he breaks through the 10th layer, he will still be at the very bottom, far beneath the nether Dao venerable. The old man shook his head, his voice slow. Master. The beautiful woman turned, pouting. The elder paused, then gave a bitter smile. Enough. If he can break through the 10th layer, I shall ask him myself if he wishes to become part of my retinue. Alas, these heavenly venerable nirvana grounds. The 1st through 9th layers can be crossed by heavenly supremes, but the 10th is the watershed between heavenly supremes and transcendent heavenly venerables. Past the 10th, and one becomes transcendent. Beyond the 11th layer, it is utterly different from the first 9, requiring not only cultivation and strength, but also insight into the Tao itself. This word nirvana in heavenly venerable nirvana grounds. That is the meaning of the latter 9 layers. Each layer beyond the 9th is like receiving a heaven-sent fortune. As for Wang Lin, he cast a glance at his disciple, then stopped speaking. Heavenly venerable ocean child was trembling with excitement. He drew in a deep breath, then released his divine sense skyward, sweeping into the 9th heaven. In the central imperial city, within an extravagant yet deserted palace, at the very instant Wang Lin broke through the 9th layer in the illusory sky curtain, a cold laugh echoed through the grand hall. So this is the one Dao Fei could never forget. I underestimated him. In the eastern continent's Violet Sun sect, a middle-aged cultivator stared fixedly into a mirror before him, ignoring the faint screams drifting from outside. His eyes burned with intensity. I must draw him in. Since the last reincarnation and separation of the grand heavenly venerable, his prestige has waned. The heavenly supremes and transcendent heavenly venerables he gathered have mostly scattered. Now another reincarnation draws near. If this man can join his retinue, he will serve as a powerful protector. Meanwhile, within the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds, After Wang Lin cleared the ninth layer, every heavenly supreme there bowed as one. Moments later, nearly 100 clasped their fists, then departed swiftly. Returning their divine sense to their bodies, they immediately spread the news through their networks to other heavenly supremes. For someone to pass the ninth layer was no small matter. It was a grand event among the heavenly supremes. Word spread swiftly. Before long, countless more heavenly supremes from across the immortal clan lands rushed toward the Nirvana grounds. Amidst the golden brilliance of the ninth layer, Wang Lin stepped out. Sitting cross-legged in midair, he neither advanced to the 10th layer nor withdrew. Golden light flooded the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Any heavenly supreme who arrived through the teleportation array was immediately bathed in its radiance. Looking up, they could clearly see the boundless golden glow of the ninth hall, and within it, the seated figure. Their expressions grew solemn, laced with a hint of expectation. Now, most of the heavenly supremes present had lost all thoughts of mockery. Even disdain had been crushed by reality. They respected strength, and anyone who could clear the ninth layer stood among the very pinnacle of heavenly supremes. Time passed. More heavenly supremes gathered, streaking in from distant arrays like rainbows of light. The teleportation array never ceased glowing. Soon, nearly 700 heavenly supremes had assembled within the Nirvana grounds, fully 70% of all such figures across the immortal clan lands. And still, more surged toward the place. This has caused a great stir. More and more are coming to the Nirvana grounds. If he breaks through the 10th layer, he will ascend as a transcendent heavenly venerable. But the 10th layer is said to be harder than all the first 9 combined. Otherwise, how could it be that in tens of thousands of years, not a single 49th Transcendent has appeared? It will be difficult. Few heavenly supremes have ever reached the 9th layer, and each was once resplendent with fame. Yet when they attempted the 10th, they failed, despite the world's high expectations. This time, it may well be the same. Within the heavenly venerable ascension grounds, more than 700 heavenly venerable cultivators spread out, gazing at the figure shrouded in the 9th layer's golden light. Some were lost in thought, some exchanged divine sense with one another, while others inquired about Wang Lin's name and the events leading up to this moment. Among these 700, a few stood out with utterly calm expressions. They were different from the rest. Even while standing quietly, the other heavenly venerables treated them with unusual respect. These were no more than a few dozen, all of them having once broken through the 9th layer, but stopped short at the 10th. Their presence here was to see whether Wang Lin could achieve the step they had long dreamed of. Brother Zhao, do you think he can make it through the 10th layer? Difficult. You and I both tried. If he truly had confidence, he wouldn't still be meditating now. Half an incense stick later, the number of cultivators gathered within the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds had swelled to nearly 800. Almost every heavenly venerable across the immortal clan lands had set aside their affairs, sending their divine sense here to witness this monumental event. In the crowd stood a breathtakingly beautiful woman, Ocean Child Heavenly Venerable. She had refused to remain in Dishan to watch Autumn Leaf, instead coming here in person. Looking at the figure within the golden radiance, a smile appeared on her lips. This fellow vanished for over a decade after leaving Shanghai. Who would have thought his return would be this astonishing? Just as the 800 heavenly venerables awaited Wang Lin's attempt at the 10th layer, the distant teleportation array flared repeatedly. A middle-aged man in white robes stepped out, his expression cold and severe. Without sparing the crowd a glance, he soared into the air and fixed his gaze on Wang Lin. Leap, heavenly venerable Shuayu. Even he has been drawn here. And not only him. Look, that's transcendent heavenly venerable Daoluan. The array flickered again, and this time an old man emerged, brows furrowed. He rose into the sky, exchanged a brief nod with the white-robed man, then also turned his eyes toward Wang Lin. Transcendent heavenly venerable Mengshuang. And that's transcendent heavenly venerable Zien. It must be him. He always appears in childlike form. Rumor says he even passed the 12th layer. Murmurs spread silently through divine sense, echoing among the nearly 800 heavenly venerables. For transcendent heavenly venerables in total had appeared from the ancient teleportation array. None spoke, but all fixed their attention on the sky above. Suddenly, silence fell. From within the ninth hall of celestial, venerable nirvana, Wang Lin rose to his feet. The moment he stood, every gaze converged on him. He glanced down at the swelling crowd, frowning briefly before relaxing. His purpose was to astound the world. The more witnesses, the better. In the crowd, his eyes met those of the four transcendent heavenly venerables. They looked back with calm, expressionless faces. After a heartbeat, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, lifted his head, and in a sudden motion, strode toward the 10th layer. His figure blurred and vanished. He's challenging the 10th layer. The 10th is like the Dragon Gate. To pass it means he will become the 49th transcendent heavenly venerable of the Immortal clan. Every cultivator below focused with unblinking eyes, terrified of missing a single detail. At that same moment, far across the Immortal clan continent, Dao Yi, Wufeng, and even those within the empty halls of the Imperial City were watching the reflection of this scene, their gazes fixed on Wang Lin stepping into the 10th layer. In the Violet Sun sect, a middle-aged man drew a deep breath, eyes wide, not daring to blink. Can he make it? It was the thought rising in countless hearts, here and across the land. Time passed. 8 breaths since Wang Lin entered the 10th layer. 9 breaths. 10 breaths. All eyes locked on the hazy outline of the palace in the sky. For tens of thousands of years, that palace had never once radiated golden light. But every time in history that it did, it meant another transcendent heavenly venerable had been born upon the Immortal clan continent. The continent had only 48 such beings. If one more arose, it would herald an age of glory for the Immortal clan, news even the ancient Gu clan could not ignore. Such a cultivator would shake the immortal aura itself. 11 breaths. 12. 13. Until 20. He must have failed, someone among the heavenly venerables whispered with a sigh. But then, gasps erupted. Like crashing waves, they thundered across the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds. Golden light. That's golden light. The 10th layer's golden light. After tens of thousands of years, it shines again. He has passed. In the sky, veiled by clouds and mist, the blurred outline of the 10th layer suddenly erupted in a world-shaking burst of golden light after the passage of 20 breaths. The 4 transcendent heavenly venerables immediately stiffened, their expressions solemn. As the golden light spread, a vast figure faintly took shape within it. This figure was not Wang Lin, but a towering presence clad in golden robes, exuding an overwhelming aura of majesty. The figure loomed immense, like a giant standing between heaven and earth. Emerging from the 10th layer's golden light, it grew more solid with every heartbeat. In moments, the figure became clear, handsome in countenance, touched with an ancient air, yet radiating a power so awe-inspiring that all immortals would instinctively bow. A golden imperial crown rested atop his head, adding to his commanding presence, as though he stood in judgment over the heavens themselves. The instant this figure appeared, the 800 heavenly venerables below, along with the 4 transcendent heavenly venerables who had come here, all trembled in spirit. It's the immortal progenitor's fragment of a true form, left behind in the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds. They say this fragment endures eternally, severed from the immortal progenitor himself. Even if the immortal progenitor were to perish, this fragment would remain, fused into these grounds. The 10th layer marks the watershed between heavenly venerables and transcendent heavenly venerables. Our immortal clan has long whispered that every cultivator who ascends to transcendent heavenly venerable must first receive the immortal progenitor's investiture. To think it is true, Wang Lin has crossed the 10th layer. The immortal progenitor's fragment has appeared. From this moment, he has leapt the Dragon Gate and stands among us as a transcendent heavenly venerable. He is no longer of the same level as we. To witness someone ascend with our own eyes, and to see the immortal progenitor's fragment bestow recognition, this alone makes our journey to the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds worthwhile. With the golden giant's manifestation, every cultivator below dropped into deep reverence, bowing in unison toward the figure above. It was not commanded, but born of instinctive veneration shared by every immortal clan cultivator present. We, descendants of the immortal clan, pay homage to the immortal progenitor. Their voices merged into one, echoing through the heavens of the Nirvana grounds. At that moment, as the multitude bowed, a rainbow arc shot forth from the palace of the 10th layer, emerging before the colossal golden figure within the radiance. From within it stepped Wang Lin. That scene seared itself into the eyes of all cultivators, as though destined to be eternal. In the sky, two golden figures, one immense, one small, stood less than 100 feet apart, gazing at each other. Wang Lin's face was slightly pale. The instant he appeared, he beheld the towering golden figure. The moment he recognized the features, his heart shuddered. It was none other than the immortal progenitor he had glimpsed twice before. Those golden eyes brimmed with boundless majesty. In that instant, they fell upon Wang Lin, carrying a strange, indescribable power that seemed not only to fix on him, but to pierce straight through him, stripping away every secret. Under that gaze, Wang Lin felt utterly exposed, as if laid bare. Every hidden thought within his heart seemed illuminated and revealed before those eyes. He had never anticipated such a moment. Not even his master, the grand heavenly venerable Xian Luo, had imagined Wang Lin would reach this point upon the immortal clan lands. Unprepared, Wang Lin's deepest secrets suddenly lay uncovered beneath that gaze. It was as though a vast invisible hand rifled through his memories, leaving no concealment possible. From the moment of his birth, every memory was rapidly unearthed. Across the immortal clan lands, there existed only 48 transcendent heavenly venerables. To the immortal clan, they were priceless, second only to the grand heavenly venerables, forming a cornerstone of the clan's peak power. Such cultivators were so valued that even the immortal progenitor himself took heed. When he created the heavenly venerable ascension, he had foreseen that Gu clan or outer realm cultivators might infiltrate the immortal clan, disguising their aura and even seizing the title of transcendent heavenly venerable. Such a thing the immortal progenitor would never allow. Heavenly venerables might be overlooked, but transcendent heavenly venerables had to be born of the immortal firmament continent itself, pure and without trace of foreignness. Thus arose the trial of passing 10 layers in the heavenly venerable nirvana grounds to ascend, serving as the most authoritative witness across the immortal clan lands. Every heavenly venerable who advanced to transcendent heavenly venerable underwent this same ordeal. The current 48 all had faced it. It was a trial of utmost importance. If the immortal progenitor's fragment discerned that one was an outer realm cultivator or of the Gu clan, the truth would be revealed at once. In such a case, not even Wang Lin, nor even a grand heavenly venerable, could escape. The fragment itself would never strike. But once it uncovered deception, the execution would fall to transcendent heavenly venerables, or even grand heavenly venerables themselves. Under the gaze of the immortal progenitor's projection, Wang Lin's memories, from the moment of his childhood, were suddenly opened. In that instant, the heavenly reversal pearl that had merged with his heart and mind reappeared within his body. It began to slowly rotate, emitting a gentle power that enveloped Wang Lin's entire being. In his silence, he saw how the heavenly reversal pearl seemingly created a memory out of thin air for the immortal progenitor's projection to witness. No one knew what the projection of the immortal progenitor had seen, but after a brief moment, the gaze resting upon Wang Lin gradually softened. After some time, under the intense gaze of all the cultivators below, the immortal progenitor's projection raised its left hand. With a sweep, a scroll, resembling a sacred edict, materialized out of nowhere, floating before it. On the scroll, there were 48 names, each radiating dazzling light, and a powerful aura descended upon the heavens and earth. The Ascendant Honor Roll. So this is the legendary Ascendant Honor Roll. It said that every Leap Heavenly Venerable's name is personally chosen by the immortal progenitor, written on this roll. This roll rarely appears, only manifesting when a new Leap Heavenly Venerable passes the 10th layer. The Ascendant Honor Roll. Any name written upon it will be under the immortal progenitor's protection, an honor of the highest rank for our immortal clan. Aside from the 4 Leap Heavenly Venerables, all other cultivators below inhaled deeply, their eyes filled with longing. They were all heavenly venerables, but even among them, not a single one had the right to have their name written on the Ascendant Honor Roll. At that moment, The Immortal Clan's projection suddenly raised its right hand, and a golden brush appeared in its grasp. It swept across the scroll, and a line of Immortal Clan script was written clearly. 49th, Wang Lin. As soon as the last stroke was made, the projection of the Immortal Progenitor slowly dissipated, transforming into golden light that enveloped the entire heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds. Once the projection of the Immortal Progenitor completely faded, a silence descended upon the cultivators below. After a brief pause, they all bowed toward the sky in unison. Greetings, Leap Heavenly Venerable. The crowd, including the Bamboo Grove Heavenly Venerable, and those who had doubted Wang Lin's ability to surpass the 9th and 10th layers, all paid their respects. Among them, a breathtakingly beautiful woman stood, watching Wang Lin. Suddenly, she felt a deep sense of distance between them. She felt as though they were in different worlds, one in the heavens, the other on earth, so far apart. This sudden realization stirred an indescribable sadness in her heart. In midair, Wang Lin closed his eyes in silence. After a long time, he slowly opened them. In that brief moment, it felt as though he had experienced life and death. He had not expected that the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds would harbor such a hidden meaning. The heavenly reversal pearl has appeared again, saving me from danger. This object possesses its own spirit. What exactly is it? Where did it come from? How did it evade the Immortal Progenitor's projection here? The 10th layer contains 99 golden stars. This level of trial is no wonder so few can pass it. Even I could only pass it after using the heavenly ox soul armor in that instant. While Wang Lin pondered, 3 figures shot up from below and hovered around him in midair. They were the Leap Heavenly Venerables Shuyu, Daoluan, and Mengshuang. As for the Zine Leap Heavenly Venerable, he remained calm, not appearing below but glancing at Wang Lin before saying nothing. Congratulations, Wang Daoist, one of them laughed heartily. From now on, there will be one more Leap Heavenly Venerable among our Immortal Clan. This matter won't take long to spread. Soon, all the Leap Heavenly Venerables across the Immortal Clan continent will know of Wang Daoist's astonishing rise. If we meet again in the northern region, we must have a drink and discuss Dao. Wang Daoist, after reaching the Leap Heavenly Venerable stage, you will likely face invitations from the Grand Heavenly Venerables. I am Shuiyu, and I listen to the teachings of Grand Heavenly Venerable Wufeng. If Daoist Wang is willing to come, it would be a great pleasure. Where are you planning to go next? The 3 of them smiled and cupped their fists in respect. Wang Lin smiled back, cupping his fists in return. As for which Grand Heavenly Venerable to follow, I have not yet made a decision, and I have no intention of leaving just yet. Wang Lin's voice trailed off as he looked up at the now completely obscured 11th layer, hidden within the mist above. His gaze immediately made the 3 of them stiffen. Daoist Wang, are you planning to continue to challenge the 11th layer? Exactly. Wang Lin nodded with a smile. The expressions of the 3 changed. After exchanging glances, the Leap Heavenly Venerable Shuyu hesitated before speaking softly. None of us 3 have passed the 11th layer. Since Daoist Wang wishes to give it a try, I have some experience that might be helpful. The Heavenly Venerable Nirvana grounds beyond the 10th layer is far more difficult than the first 9 layers. And once you fail, it is not like the previous layers where you come out unscathed. You will suffer injuries. Though not serious, they are still something to be cautious of. Moreover, beyond the 10th layer, it is difficult to pass with short-term cultivation. This is why Leap Heavenly Venerables rarely challenge it. Without over 80% certainty, we Leap Heavenly Venerables do not venture forward lightly. As far as I know, of the 49 Leap Heavenly Venerables, including Daoist Wang, 27 have reached a dead end at the 11th layer. 13 others have stopped at the 12th layer. As for Daoist Zine, rumors say he passed the 12th layer, but in truth, he also stopped there. Starting from the 11th layer, the difficulty skyrockets. It is no longer as simple as shattering stars like in the first 10 layers. Instead, one must battle the 72 extraterrestrial beasts that the Immortal Progenitor once fought. Those 72 extraterrestrial beasts vary in strength. Even though what exists within the Heavenly Venerable Ascension is only an illusion, and their power is greatly weakened, they were still once beings capable of contending with the Immortal Progenitor himself. If one can defeat all 72 of these extraterrestrial spirits, retracing the immortal progenitor's path, then upon passing the 19th layer, that cultivator would naturally gain the strength that even grand heavenly venerables would be reluctant to challenge lightly. Moreover, beginning with the 11th layer, great fortune awaits. Yet this fortune is not granted to all. Even those who pass the 11th layer may not receive it. The specifics are unclear to me, but I do know that someone once gained a divine art of the immortal progenitor within the 11th layer. But throughout the entire history of the immortal clan, only 2 transcendent heavenly venerables have ever passed the 19th layer, and later, within the primordial divine realm, ascended to become grand heavenly venerables. Aside from these 2, none have ever passed the 19th layer. As for today's grand heavenly venerables, Tao E Grand Heavenly Venerable and the Grand Heavenly Venerable Immortal Emperor Baji, back then, they were merely at the level of heavenly venerable cultivators. By chance, one ascended to Grand Heavenly Venerable within the primordial divine realm, while the other inherited the immortal progenitor's bloodline. As for the twin Grand Heavenly Venerables and Heavenly Venerable Jyoti, it is said they lived in the same era, perhaps once under the immortal progenitor's command. Whether true or not, I cannot say. But I do know this. Great Heavenly Venerable Wufeng was once a transcendent Heavenly Venerable cultivator. He was one of the 2 who passed the 19th layer. That is the very reason I chose to follow him. We transcendent Heavenly Venerables are prideful by nature. If someone relied merely on fortune to achieve Grand Heavenly Venerable, and we were not convinced in our hearts, how could we willingly follow? Leap Heavenly Venerable Shuyu spoke slowly, his gaze fixed on Wang Lin. Then tell me, who else among the Grand Heavenly Venerables once passed the 19th layer while still a transcendent Heavenly Venerable? Wang Lin had never heard of such matters before. The moment he learned this, his expression tightened. The Donglin sect's Great Heavenly Venerable of East Pool. Before his fall, he was the foremost Grand Heavenly Venerable of our immortal clan. Even Heavenly Venerable Judy tread cautiously before him. That elder rose step by step, entirely through his own strength, until he reached the level of Grand Heavenly Venerable. Even though Great Heavenly Venerable Wufeng also passed the 19th layer, he was still not the equal of the Great Heavenly Venerable of East Pool. There are hidden reasons, though none can discern them. It was clear that this Great Heavenly Venerable of East Pool was a figure Shuyu deeply respected. His tone grew somber as he spoke of him. Wang Lin fell silent. In his mind appeared the image of that old man in the Donglin sect who clung to illusions so as not to feel lonely, the descendant of the Great Heavenly Venerable of East Pool. Thank you. Wang Lin inhaled deeply, clasped his fist toward Shuyu, and then raised his head toward the 11th layer above. His eyes flashed with determination. Without the slightest hesitation, his figure blurred. Under the watchful gazes of Shuyu and the other 2, amidst the gasps of all the Heavenly Venerable cultivators below, and just as transcendent Heavenly Venerable Zin's cold eyes flickered, Wang Lin's silhouette surged upward, like a sword piercing through the heavens, charging straight ahead. So swift was his speed that he pierced through the rolling clouds, and in the blink of an eye arrived outside the 11th layer hall. Within the Heavenly Venerable Ascension, this 11th layer was the pinnacle of aspiration for all Heavenly Venerables. To reach this layer, whether one succeeded in passing or not, was the greatest mark of identity and strength. The 11th layer hall differed greatly from the first 10 below. It was far larger, its aura pressure far heavier, and its pitch-black surface radiated an eerie, chilling aura. Counting those 9 as well, only 22 people in the entire Immortal Clan have ever passed this 11th layer. To pass the 10th layer and become a transcendent Heavenly Venerable is not enough to truly amaze the world. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. Without hesitation, his figure streaked forward like a rainbow, stepping into the 11th layer hall. The instant Wang Lin entered the 11th layer, every Heavenly Venerable below drew in sharp breaths, their faces filled with both shock and excitement. Such expressions should never have appeared on these figures. After all, any one of them could shake heaven and earth with a mere stomp outside. Yet in this moment, because of what they saw as Wang Lin's mad act, their hearts stirred with awe and disbelief. I thought he would stop after the 10th layer, but he dares to go further. How many layers does he intend to conquer? How far can he go? He's gone mad. Unless Wang Lin possesses unshakable confidence, then he has been driven into obsession by the glory of becoming a transcendent heavenly venerable. To attempt continuous breakthroughs like this, it's nearly unheard of. Even Shuiyu and his two companions now stared intently, their expressions grave. They did not believe Wang Lin's chances were high. In their estimation, his likelihood of failure exceeded 90%. After all, they themselves had once tried and failed at this 11th layer. More than half of all transcendent heavenly venerables had met their limit here. They could not believe that Wang Lin, who had only just stepped into the realm of transcendent heavenly venerable, truly possessed the strength to overcome it. There's certainly a spirit of daring, but the 11th layer is not that easy. Back in the day, I attempted to break through the 11th layer after passing the 10th, but I failed. It wasn't until years later that I finally succeeded. Among the 40 or so Leap Heavenly Venerables, only Kaiwei Venerable and Ming Dao Venerable, after breaking through the 10th layer, stopped at the 12th and 13th layers, respectively. These two are now famed as the strongest Leap Heavenly Venerables, and this has a great deal to do with their accomplishments. This person, though, he's impossible. The Transcendent Heavenly Venerable Xun'er, who appeared like a young boy due to his small stature, maintained an indifferent expression, but inwardly, he was sneering. At this moment, not only the cultivators here were watching, but also the grand heavenly venerables from the outside, as well as many other Leap Heavenly Venerables. Through various means, they all learned that a new Leap Heavenly Venerable had appeared on the Immortal Clan continent, and instead of leaving immediately, this new figure was preparing to break through once more. Dao E Sect, Dao E Grand Heavenly Venerable, seemed to ignore everything around him as he fixed his gaze on the reflection on the water. His expression remained unchanged, but his fists occasionally flickered with a strange light. This person must be recruited under my banner. Meanwhile, in the glacial lands of the northern region, Wu Feng Grand Heavenly Venerable fixed his eyes on the ice, determination gleaming in his gaze. As for the middle-aged cultivator within the Violet Sun sect, who could occasionally hear the sound of a tragic scream in his ears, he was extremely excited. Staring at the mirror in front of him, he murmured to himself, if he can become one of the twin Grand Heavenly Venerable subordinates, it would be a great help to the Grand Heavenly Venerable. In the Dishan Empire, the 9 Grand Heavenly Venerables sat lazily, basking in the sunlight like an old man unwilling to move. When Wang Lin broke through the 10th layer, the Venerable slowly opened his tired eyes and gave a casual glance. He actually made it through? Even if he passed the 10th layer, he's still just a bigger ant. He's nowhere near Kaiwei Venerable, nor can he compare with Ming Dao Venerable. Sigh. I wonder what good things the Immortal Emperor gave to Ming Dao back in the day. The old man sighed, regretful that he couldn't showcase Ming Dao Venerable's strength back then. Inside the central imperial city palace, in an empty hall, a murmuring voice echoed. Ming Dao, what do you think? As the voice reverberated, ripples suddenly distorted the air in the hall. From the ripples stepped a young man dressed in black, strikingly handsome, with an aura of coldness surrounding him. He glanced at the illusory screen of heavenly venerable nirvana in the air. To kill him, just one breath is enough. Meanwhile, not discussing Wang Lin's rise to Leap Heavenly Venerable or his attempt to break through the 11th layer, Wang Lin stepped into the 11th layer. As the scene before him blurred, he once again found himself in the starry sky. But this starry sky was devoid of stars. Instead, it was surrounded by thick mist, seemingly impossible to clear, enveloping everything around him. What is the Tao? A stern voice suddenly echoed in this starry sky, sending ripples throughout Wang Lin's mind. The voice rang in his ears, repeating over and over. What is the Tao? What is the Tao? The voice grew more intense, like a whisper, then a roar, shaking Wang Lin's body, even threatening to shatter his soul. Wang Lin's face grew pale, but his eyes remained sharp. His understanding of the Tao had transformed into his 3 great void origins, far surpassing many on the Immortal Clan continent, including some Heavenly Venerables and Leap Heavenly Venerables. They couldn't compare to his comprehension of the Tao. This understanding of the Tao was something that could only be perceived by oneself, a sublime elevation of thought that no one else could grasp. Life and death as a rope. This is the Tao. Wang Lin spoke slowly. The moment he did, his almost 3,000 years of understanding life and death became his life and death origin, enveloping him. At that instant, the voice vanished, and the mist before him roiled and condensed into a rope-like form, spreading outward, revealing the brilliant starry sky beneath. It also revealed a figure in golden robes and an imperial crown. In front of this figure was a gigantic scorpion, about 10,000 feet long. Its cold aura emanated as it let out a sharp screech. Wang Lin's vision blurred for a moment, and when it cleared, he had replaced the golden figure and was now facing off against the scorpion. Green Fiend Scorpion. Without hesitation, Wang Lin donned his soul armor. Time passed slowly. Unlike the previous few breaths where he had broken through a layer, Wang Lin had now spent half a stick of incense in the 11th layer. The place was eerily quiet. All eyes were on the sky veiled by mist, awaiting in silence. Breaking through the 11th layer isn't a bad idea. After he fails, he will understand the gap and realize that this place, the heavenly venerable Nirvana grounds, cannot be passed with mere madness. Shuyu Leap, heavenly venerable, looked up, silently thinking. Even now, he did not believe Wang Lin could succeed. Did he think he was Venerable Kaiwei or the Nether Dao Venerable? Back in the 11th layer, I struggled through countless hardships, barely managing to pass. As for Dao Yi's words, I pondered them for a long time without grasping their meaning. Facing 7 consecutive battles against the extraterrestrial spirits was already excruciatingly difficult. There's no way he could possibly pass in a single attempt. At that moment, Transcendent Heavenly Venerable Xun'er, who looked like a youth, narrowed his eyes with a cold sneer in his heart. But suddenly, his body shuddered, and disbelief flashed across his gaze. A burst of golden light erupted inside the mist-shrouded 11th hall, filling the heavens. This is impossible. Transcendent Heavenly Venerable Xun'er's eyes widened in shock. Correction. Among those who broke through all 19 layers, besides the Great Heavenly Venerable of East Pool, there was also Great Heavenly Venerable Wufeng.